Hello, everybody. Coach Matt here with you today. I want to go over and recap the workout routines that I took all of my clients through over basically from September until yesterday was the last day. I want to tell you about what we learned going through these routines, what worked and what didn't, because there's some pretty interesting information that came from this. I'm going to start, basically I broke these into two different routines. The one routine is for people who might be at a lower level of fitness. It was for senior clients. It was for those who might have more physical limitations. I'm going to go over that one second. The first one I'm going to go over is my cross-training routines that are a little bit at a higher level, more skilled, more intense. These were called the cross-training plans. So I had 5 different routines. Each of the routines had 8 different sections. And what I ended up doing with this is breaking it up into what it ended up being was 10 different routines. So for the first part of this, from September to about early November, we were doing the following. We were doing core balance and mobility routines. We were doing Olympic weightlifting, we were doing a strength circuit, and we were doing a fitness circuit. And then after that, in November, we switched over to each of our routines would consist of, we actually still did this core balance and mobility routines, but we shifted to speed and power routines, powerlifting, gymnastics, and just straight aerobic exercises. So I'm gonna share the copy of this, which I've shared it in previous posts. But you should check this out because I think, if nothing else, it's a pretty good rundown of some of my favorite exercises and how to implement them and put them into a routine that's kind of a balanced routine. And I think for the most part, this worked really well. It's also adaptable. I had some people who they never really did the Olympic lifting because they're just not interested in that, and it's a pretty high skilled thing to do. So they didn't ever do Olympic lifting, but they just continued another set cycle of the powerlifting, which, by the way, our goal was to cycle through, we had those 2 different blocks where there was 5 different routines in each block. Our goal was to get through 5 cycles of that. And well, I guess I'll give you the statistics on total sessions completed for my clients. So Jim did 8 of them, Kirsty did 9, Colby did 11, Sydney did 13, Karen did 21, Remy did 25, Judy did 28, and I also was taking myself through these, and I did 54. So, I mean, I completed the whole routine. Judy, Remy, and Karen did a pretty great job of this and of sticking to the routine. But it is challenging. And I guess to touch on a couple of the limitations of this, I think that having 5 different routines that we were cycling through is too many at any one period of time. And in my next set of routines, I'm going to do 3, just 3 at a time. Because what ended up happening is, at best, we would get through 4 routines in 1 week. But most likely it was 3, and sometimes it was only 2 or 1 routines. So what that would mean is you would have too big of a time period from doing, say, routine number 1, and then the time between having that routine again would be too great. And especially on the skilled movements like the Olympic lifting, for instance, we were doing barbell power cleans. If you're having like 17 to 20 days in between exposures on the barbell power clean, you can't expect to really learn the movement, and you can't expect, if you're already skilled at it, to improve on that movement. So that's why definitely on my next set of routines, I'm just going to do blocks of 3. And then our goal will be to do that, go through those 3 routines once a week for a consistent period of time. And our goal this time is to do those three, pick a 6-week window of time where we know we can be consistent and try to stick with that. So you'll end up doing 6 times 3, 18 workouts in a cycle, and you're trying to do those 18 workouts within a 6-week period of time. And that way, man, you can really get good exposure consistently to a movement, and you can really actually progress on that movement and get better at it and become more skilled. But then after that 6 weeks, you might take a break. You might do an assessment week. And then I have another, that second set of 3 different routines that we want to cycle for 6 weeks. The other thing that I wanted to change, I think this program did a pretty good job of it, but not excellent. For each set of routines, we're limiting the amount of equipment used. So there's only 2 or 3 pieces of equipment that are needed for each routine. These routines had sometimes 4, 5, or 6 different pieces of equipment that were needed for a single routine. And if I limit the number of pieces of equipment that you have in a routine, though you might have access, some of you guys might have access to all of those things, but others may not. Others may have just a barbell or just bands. So if this is you, then at least there's a full routine that you can follow when you only have access to your bands. So yeah, that's the cross training. Those are the cross training workouts. Oh, one other thing I guess I'll say, and this applies to both the Balanced Body Club workouts, which I'll talk about in a minute, and also the cross training workouts that I've been talking about. The scalability, I learned a lot about just by doing these workouts, how to scale movements up to make them a little bit more challenging if you're doing the movement and it's like not that hard. Then understanding what you can do to progress and scale up a little bit, but also understanding if that prescribed movement is too difficult, how you scale it down. And so on my next set of routines, I have a chart that lays out scaling options for like 5 different levels. So this was kind of a run through on figuring out how to do that, and I feel a lot more confident doing it the next time. So with that, talk about the Balanced Body Club workouts. And again, these are for people who may have some physical limitations. It's for healthy seniors, and it's also for those who are brand new to exercise. It's a great place to start out. So from my clients, Kathy did 23 sessions, Wallace did 19, Kay did 19, Phyllis did 10, and Diane did a couple. So overall, the upside of this was that this is again a really good overview of exercises. I mean, how many exercises are there in here? Close to 100. These are all generally exercises that folks in these demographic groups with these needs can do these exercises and feel pretty confident that they're going to be safe. And also the way that they're organized in such a way that it's going to give you a balanced body stimulus. Each of these individual routines is going to give you a balanced body stimulus. And, there's a thought process that went into choosing these specific exercises and also giving these specific guidelines for how much to do, how often to do it. And the goal for these guys was to do these routines twice a week. And we had mixed results on that part of it. And to be completely frank in the limitations, there were definitely some setbacks experienced that it's hard to say if it's associated directly with the exercises we were doing here and the amount that we were doing. But I did have, some clients that had some setbacks while we were going through these routines. being fair, there's probably some association between what we were choosing to do. I think we were doing too much volume of squatting or really just too much volume of spinal loading exercises and hip loading exercises. And this is learning the hard way where your limits are, and because we went too far. And it's really disappointing, but I'm hoping that it just informs the practice here that I now know next time we got to do less squatting. And also I think we got to do less shoulder loading. I think it was really just too much resistance training. And I think next time we're going to spend more on just lighter core balance and mobility exercises, more fluid movements, maybe a little bit more emphasis on aerobics, a little bit less emphasis on strength training. And it's not to say that, Kathy, Wallace, and Kay did extremely well, and they felt great through this series of routines, but for other people, it didn't work out so well. But I think everybody here that I've been working with can benefit from, like I said, shifting to more core balance and mobility, a little bit more aerobic work, but less skill and spinal loading exercises, perhaps. So stay tuned, because I will be releasing my 2020 series of cross-training workouts, which I think they're even better than before for all the reasons I stated from the lessons we've learned. So, and I'm really trying to reach out to more people and get you involved on the plan. And whether you're here in Bath and you want to come see me at Ship City Fitness, or if you're anywhere out there in the world and you can connect with me on the internet here, I have shareable links to these documents. And if you pull this document up, each of these blue things here, it's like a link, so you can click on the link and you can see an exercise demonstration video. And I also have videos where I run through the entire routine in order. So both of those resources hopefully can be useful for you guys if you're somebody who's looking for a routine, is looking for something maybe a little bit different. Maybe you see like some options are too intense and other options are not specific enough, and you're trying to find that middle ground. Well, I think these balanced body routines might be able to get you what you're looking for. So hit me up. Hope to connect with y'all very soon. Have a great day.